Could I ask Nicholas a question?
Of course.
It goes to this measurement idea and this extraordinary description of a whole country with kids with these laptops and your expectation that something really big will result. When will we see it? What will it be? How will we measure? How will we perceive it?
Well, first of all, it's already visible. And you can see in the country, and I urge anybody who's close to Uruguay to go to Uruguay. Because I have a friend, some of you may know, he's here periodically to teach, Antonio Batro, who went to Uruguay recently and went to a very poor village on the coast and went into somebody's hut, and the woman had 7 children, and 5 of them had laptops, and they were running their little network at home. And this was a really poor house, and the mothers had just completely taken that, and next year, the 6th one will be 5 years old, and we'll have 6 laptops at home. Those kids are growing up so differently. They all have internet addresses, email addresses at school, Wi-Fi at school, and often Wi-Fi at home. Their curiosity, the way they approach problems, the way they look at things from different ways. Yes, they play games, but they own the laptop, so they use it not just a few hours at school. They use it for movies. They use it for all sorts of things. So I think you're going to see a nation in about 10 years, 15 years is the real time when it counts, that is going to be far more creative than many other nations. Uruguay could be the first truly creative nation because kids grew up this way. In between the sorts of things that you might measure, which are being measured, and they measure a lot down there, and you can go to their websites, and if you can read Spanish, you'll find a lot more than I can. But the sort of things they look at is how many kids don't go from, fail the grade they're in and have to stay back a grade. It used to be a relatively significant number. It's almost disappeared. So you get results like that are pretty interesting measurements, and make them. But I think that the boldness of doing it is what's going to change the country, and we're going to see things, results that are really quite astonishing. I'll tell you a quick Uruguay story. When Tabaré Vázquez is named the president, announced that he was going to do every child, there was a teacher who had taught for 30 years in primary school who heard this and said, I've been teaching for 30 years. I'm not going to start teaching with a laptop. And so she went to the Social Security office and she asked for early retirement. And they said, come back in 10 days, and it takes 10 days to process it. And in the intervening time, the laptop arrived in her classroom. And within 2 days, she saw the energy of her classroom change. She saw the kids change. She went right back to the Social Security office and said, change that. I want late retirement. And what happened in her class shortly thereafter, she had assigned a project to do something on cows. This little girl goes home, a little disappointed. She hadn't gotten a leg up on the project. And her father said, you're really lucky because tonight our cow is giving birth. And our laptop has a little video camera on it. And so she went and stayed up and filmed the birth of the cow as her project and brought it to school the next day. And of course, it was by far the best project. And the kids collectively figured out how to upload it to YouTube, which they did. And if you type Vaca, Uruguay, or something, it'll come up. And it got 100,000 hits. The teacher said, come on, I never thought my silly homework problem would have 100,000 hits. And again, the self-esteem of the child and all of that. I think those are the things that are the big results. And you get a nation that grows up with kids with that kind of self-esteem and that kind of ease, and you look at it and see something from multiple points of view, and I don't know the answer. I go, fine, let's work on it together, be more collaborative. I mean, you're going to have very few defectors in Uruguay.
Could I ask what programs are actually on your computers, and what are the kids doing with these computers when they get them? How do they know how to use them?
What do you mean, how do they know how to use them? It's it's genetic. There's, in fact, we're going to run a real experiment very scientifically soon where we drop these things out of helicopters into villages that have no schools and see if kids can read after a year. But every kid knows how to open up a laptop and start using it. So using a laptop is really quite simple. What they do with it actually is relatively country-specific by chance. The Uruguayan children tend to use it to surf the web and for entertainment and other stuff. The kids in Ethiopia tend to write computer programs more, and kids in Peru do a lot of book reading.
But all of them are connected to the web?
In our case, I would say of the 3 million, 2.2 million are connected, 2.5.
How do you connect them?
It's hard.